done YouTube first, right? There we go. Hello, YouTube. Welcome. Had a bit of technical difficulties with you. Welcome to day 4 of the Path is to the Next Edge. Today, we're going to be speaking about how to expand your nervous system for more income. And I just want to explain the process of this free challenge. If you have not watched day 1 to 3, I highly recommend, because I go through the first 2 phases of woman mastery. So the woman mastery method, the movement, is all about subconscious reprogramming, identity shifting, and nervous system recalibration, expansion, being able to expand to a new capacity, which we're speaking about over the next couple of days, which I'm super excited about. And the way that I have created, I've been in this online business now for 5 years. I've coached hundreds of clients, and I've noticed with this woman mastery method, this is the true key to mastering yourself, to mastering the lifestyle you want, designing the lifestyle you want, to also mastering the income that you want in your business, in your career. I work with both business women and with career women as well. And all of these modalities, like I often get that from my clients, is they'll be doing the work, implementing the concepts and the frameworks and the discussions we have. And it will be like this. And every time I onboard someone, I'm like, we're not here for quick wins. We're not here for instant gratification. We are here to build a long-term legacy, whatever that legacy looks like to you. I think I've said it in every single life. You have to decide what success means to you. You need to be the one that determines that. But whatever we are creating is a long-term legacy. It's a long-term vision. So I always prep my clients. I say, thank you for joining me over on YouTube. We're not here for the quick wins. If you want quick wins and if you want a quicker dopamine hit, I am not the coach for you. I am not the mentor for you. I'm not someone that's going to give you that. But what I notice with my clients is they implement the woman mastery methodology, and then all of a sudden, a few months in, bam, they are creating the life that they truly desire and what they want to do. One of my clients, she went from being on a workers' comp to now she has a booked out photography business, like booked out until 2025. I think like the first or second quarter of 2025. Anything is absolutely possible. And with everything I've spoken about in the past couple of days, it ties in. And today I'm going to be speaking about expanding your nervous system for more, expanding your nervous system to welcome in more income. Everything that I shared today as well isn't just income, money, wealth. It can also be for you to welcome in relationships, better quality relationships, health, whatever is applicable to you. And I want to start by a story when a couple of years ago, with what I started to notice in myself when it came to my own expansion. So I think it was like the 3rd year. I was close to hitting the 3rd year of my business. And over the past couple of years, I'd built my business slowly and I'd seen some success. I'd hit some really big monetary goals that I'd been working towards. And I noticed in my 3rd year that I started to stall. Things were just kind of like I'd hit this ceiling, and that things weren't massively progressing whatsoever. I was kind of just like going with the flow, and I noticed this, and I always say to my clients, take yourself out, bird's eye view it, take out the emotion and see what is actually happening. Because when we view something not from a neutral point of view, when we view something with emotion, it's really hard to actually witness what's happening in our life. So I had to do that, to be really, really honest with myself. Even though in business, things weren't bad. My life wasn't bad. It's nothing like that. It wasn't dramatic, but things weren't moving. It was like I was climbing this mountain and I was never seeing the summit. I was just like going and going and going. It became tiring, right? And, there are the elements of the past 3 days that flow into this. But most importantly, what I started to notice is my nervous system had actually shrunk. Something I have been saying since 28, maybe even 2017, is a lot of people say, get out of your comfort zone. Get out of your comfort zone. Get out of your comfort zone. Get out of your comfort zone, right? I used to say that myself. I used to see that myself. I used to use that phrase, myself. And, it never really connected with me, right? And I was always one to push the boundaries a little bit. I was always one to do something differently. Hence why I also have a business. I'm not one to have a boss. Like I was always one to do things a little bit differently, but I never really connected with, and I apologize if you hear any noise. I've forgotten to shut the sliding door. But I never ever connected with get out of your comfort zone. It never made sense to me. And as I started to develop this business and the years went on, I started to instead say, expand your comfort zone, expand your comfort zone. And now with the methodology that I teach, this truly means expand your comfort zone is expand your nervous system. A lot of people want to get out. What I view getting out, if you look at your comfort zone like a circle, right, and you're in at the middle of the circle, getting out of that comfort zone isn't necessarily priming you for anything. You may, for getting like very visual here, you may get out, you may experience different ways and beings of seeing the world, but it doesn't exactly prime you to welcome in what you desire. This is why sometimes you can see a lot of progress in your life, and then all of a sudden 3 to 6 months later, you're back to the same self-sabotaging patterns, the same behaviors, the same belief systems, and the way that you perceive. Like yesterday was an insane training. That alone needs to be isolated, and I need to sell that as a masterclass. It was an insane training. So if you haven't watched the self-concept training, highly, highly recommend putting that on your to-watch list like today, because it will feed in perfectly with what I'm speaking about. But going back to what I was saying is the saying, get out of your comfort zone. It's not priming you to be ready for what's out of your comfort zone. And so I started to say, and this was like an intuitive drop from the universe. I just started to resonate with expanding, right? You're in the middle. This is your comfort zone and you are expanding to bring in more. I feel like if I look back on lives in 2020, I'm saying this exact same thing because it has been proven, and now I've had hundreds of clients. It's been proven over and over again. So you're bringing in more and you're expanding the capacity to be more. And the analogy that I want to share with you that really helps my clients when we first start nervous system work, when we first start to look at a goal, that's like, all right, I'm doing the belief system, the subconscious programming, I'm doing the identity work, but I'm still feeling this like ickiness in my body. I'm still feeling like it's a bit too scary in my body. What do we need to start to do? What are the important things we need to start to do? And that is this analogy that I teach my clients, the balloon analogy when it comes to nervous system. So I want you to envision your nervous system like a balloon. So what happens when you start to blow up a balloon, right? You start to blow it up, blow it up, blow it up, and then all of a sudden it gets to this point. And you start to get a little bit scared and resistant because if you keep blowing into that balloon, it's going to pop, right? And so you get really, really scared. And so what do we do if we had a balloon? Is we start to let out some air, we start to shrink it, then we tie it and we keep it, we have the balloon, right? It's done. This is exactly how I want you to envision your own nervous system, like a balloon. It's a balloon that you need to learn how to stretch. It's a balloon that you need to learn how to expand. Most people revert back to, they will do the stretching. This is why the woman mastery methodology is so important. You can't just have subconscious beliefs in the identity work. We need the trifecta, everything that I'm speaking about in this week. And people stretch. And the moment that they're really, really about to tip over, the moment that they're about to break their glass ceiling, what happens? They shrink, they contract, they go smaller, they start to pick up old habits, or they start to pick up the behaviors that is their nervous system regulating, but it's actually not expanding them. So, for example, maybe you want to get better at being consistent with creating content. Maybe you want to show up every single day and create content. And let's say that you have, trying to get comfortable, let's say that you have shown up 3 days in a row of doing something different, right? You've gone from barely showing up in your stories and posting any video content to the past 3 days, you've shown up in your stories, you posted a couple of TikToks, you posted an Instagram reel, and then you get to the 4th day. You get to the 4th day, you wake up, you go about your routine, maybe you go to the gym, maybe you get your steps in, and then you start to do a little bit of work, and then you start to get really, really tired, right? I'm giving you a whole scenario that's super specific that you may be able to relate to, like fit to relate. So you go about your day, you start with the gym, you go do your steps, you're like, okay, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. The past couple of days I've kept my promise. And you then get on your laptop or your phone to create a bit of content. And then you feel like, okay, I'm lacking creativity. You go scroll reels for some creativity. You go scroll TikTok for some creativity. You then start getting the comparison trap and you start thinking, well, look at what they're saying, or look what they're creating, or look at what they're doing in their business. I'm not good enough. Then you're like, all right, I need a timeout. and feeling tired. So then you are like, I'm going to have a break from work. That turns into scrolling on TikTok for 2 hours, watching a Netflix series. Maybe you're like, I'll finish the first part of Emily in Paris. And so you put that on, and then you're like, once that's done, I'm going to get back to work. You do this, the scrolling, or maybe you're like, oh, just go meet up with a friend for coffee. And this is your body trying to regulate and constrict you back into your old way of being. And so you're doing that. And then by the time it comes to you saying, all right, it's been a couple of hours, I'm going to create the content, you're like, oh, well, it's dinner time, or it's too late, or I actually don't know what to say. Or you start to say, well, I've shown up the past 3 days. I've done X, Y, Z. That's enough. I'm going to just have a break. And then you constrict back. You teach your nervous system that that's okay, that the behaviors that you had in this day are okay, and that you start to constrict, and that you, instead of expanding, instead of teaching and leaning into the doubt, which, by the way, I have just written an excellent post here on Instagram, a carousel swipe across. It's around the doubt, the identity of doubt. And go and read it after this training, because it just like was flowing through me. So then that's what starts to happen. You start to constrict. So imagine the balloon analogy again. You start to constrict, and then all of a sudden you're back to square one. You're like, it comes to Friday, and you're like, oh, well, you know, it's Friday, the weather's good. Like, I'll just do like one post today, and I'll just like, I've got old Canva slides. I'll just post them up. Like, energetically, it's like you're not feeling good about those slides. I'll just post it up. And then it's the weekend. It's like, I'm not posting on the weekend. And then it starts Monday. And it's like the momentum again, right? This is where so many high achievers get so much momentum. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, whoops, sorry. Oh my goodness, why did I have so much momentum? And now all of a sudden I'm repeating the same patterns, or I'm not making any progress, or I'm just like settling for this. I feel like this YouTube. Does that resonate? If you're watching, like, let me know if that like resonates. That's just like one scenario. But basically what I'm saying when it comes to using the analogy of the nervous system, the balloon analogy, is that that's what happens when you try to do something that is out of the norm for your nervous system, where you don't feel safe. Your way of regulating is actually a way of self-sabotaging. That could actually be a really good post. Note to self, your way of regulating is probably your way of self-sabotaging. I just want you to think of that over and over again. And I don't mean it's like, oh, well, just, you know, my way to regulate, like I go and do a 20-minute, okay, I'll give you a personal example. I sometimes, to regulate during the day when I'm doing, like I'm sat at my desk, I will do 20 minutes of yoga. Like, I quite literally put it on the TV. I'll get my yoga mat here and I'll do it. I'm like, I'm not going to wait for a class. Like, I need to center myself. But this is what happens when you master yourself as a woman. You know the difference. You trust yourself. You trust yourself to understand, am I doing this because I'm afraid of what happens when I finish this post, and like I'm going to be seen, or people are going to pay for me, or, you know, I'm about to express that I'm raising my prices, or, you know, I'm about to do X, Y, Z. It's like that. You need to know the difference between that versus, no, I've been at my laptop now for 4 hours. I haven't moved my body. I haven't gone in my steps. Like, I'm starting to like feel distracted. That is woman mastery. This is the woman mastery movement, and the methodology is like the foundation of it all. Like, the whole premise of it all is really self-trust, is building such a deep connected relationship with yourself that you trust yourself. I have a training that is going only for those of you that are watching this live or watch the replay, called Ready to Regulate. I held this a couple of months ago now. That training alone, I think, is normally $497. If you are watching that and you want the ins and outs of my methodologies when it comes to being ready to regulate, for this training, if you're watching this, it is only $88, but you have to watch this training or you're coming back and doing the replay. Just comment regulate if you want that, or slide into my DMs after this. Over on YouTube, you can send me a DM, you can comment regulate on this video, and I can send you the link. $88. It is one of my most favorite. I haven't done an update. This was a few months ago, over 6 months ago. I still sell that. I still get my clients to use that. I haven't done an updated one because it's so damn good. Because it's so, like, I rewatched it back maybe 6 weeks ago, and I was like, wow, Like, this is powerful. This is a reminder to myself. And so that training is normally $497. You get a couple of other things that come in like the package of it, but that's the main basis of it. It was a workshop that I taught. If you want it, $88. Also, if you join my broadcast channel, there are the other offers for the past few days around identity and self-concept and subconscious reprogramming. But this is the power of expanding your nervous system and understanding and trusting yourself, understanding what the regulation means. Are you regulating or are you self-sabotaging? What don't you feel when you get to that sticky point? If we go back to the example that I was just sharing, so you're at your desk and you start to think, oh my God, I'm scrolling, I'm getting comparison. That is quite literally your body not feeling safe to expand yourself, to not use your voice, your body going, oh my God, well, you've created so much content and you're going to be seen and it's really, really scary. So why don't we pull back? Or you've already had like X amount of inquiries, or you made like 2 sales. Let's pull back. It's too scary. That's what starts to happen in your body. That's why people fail to expand to the income that they desire. And regardless, I coach women who are in careers. You don't just need to bring in that income from your career, your salary. I've had women in careers that have come back to me that have done this regulation work, and they're like, I brought in $3,000 over the weekend from a random thing, because they finally expanded to feel safe in that and not just rely on the identity and the process of where they're currently at. Each level that you're at requires you always come back to the balloon analogy. Always come back to the balloon analogy. Always, always, always. Because that part where you're about to stop blowing up the balloon and it feels constricted and it's like, this is going to pop in my face. That is your nervous system every time that you are making leeway and you're expanding. It doesn't mean that you push through. If we go back to my example, if you do day 4 and day 5, it takes time for the nervous system to adjust and for you to learn how to trust yourself. So you know, okay, I'm 2 weeks in, a good thing now. Oh, what's happening? I'm all of a sudden now I'm not going to like do work in the morning. I'm just going to spend the morning here, and then I'm going to get stressed, and then I'm going to put out a post with lack, or I'm going to sell in the DMs with lack and scarcity and You need to realize how to recognize this. Women as well need to recognize what phase are you in your cycle. That's an important, crucial part. I was speaking to one of my clients about this the other day. Because yes, you can be in your luteal phase and not like anything in life, but you can still recognize when you are shrinking back to the same patterns, the same behaviors. Something that I brought up yesterday in part 2 of the Visionary Focus Speak of identity and self-concept is you need to recognize what levels you are at and what you're moving towards. You need to get so crystal clear. In day 2 of part 1 of that, I showed you a framework. Exactly how to work through this. See how the Woman Mastery methodology, it just like comes together in one. And so your job right now is to leave this training and ask yourself, am I regulating myself, or am I self-sabotaging? That's what you need to ask yourself, and to be honest and to get to know yourself. And if you're sitting here and you're like, I don't know, I don't know how to do that, Jess. I don't know how to trust, but that's what the work I do is. That's why I've worked with hundreds of clients. That's why women sign on with me for years and years. I had one of my longest term clients. She's been with me for 4 years now. I've been in business 5 years. She's been in business been in mentorship with me for 4 years. And the transformation, like, I've literally got goosebumps. It's insane. This is the work that we do here. This is the Woman Mastery movement. Master yourself. Master high cash months. Master a luxe life. The relationship of your dreams. Relationships. Your friendships count as well. But part of that is being able to expand what is normal to you. If you, for the past 6 months, have operated in this nervous system that it's normal, and you tolerate doing the bare minimum, you tolerate having 8K, 10K, 20K months, But you know you were destined for so much more. You know you were here to create and bring in so much more. But you're tolerating that because every time you get to that expansion piece, you constrict. You don't show up, you don't create the content. Maybe you stop. Let's do other examples. Maybe you stop going on dates, you stop responding to messages on dating apps or whoever you're speaking to. You start self-sabotaging. You start creating and concocting scenarios. Maybe you're starting to see results in the gym, and then you go, oh, well, fuck it. Maybe I'll just I've done well for the past month. I'm just going to eat whatever. And then that flows into the next day and the next day and the next day. And before you know it, all your progress is undone. And you're like, oh my God, okay, let's do this again. And see, it's this yo-yo, this momentum. The momentum that you are experiencing that all of a sudden disappears is because of your own nervous system constricting, your own nervous system feeling like, I can't do this. And you need to find safety in that. The first part is really just to feel into it, recognize it, having conversations with yourself. Like it seems simple, but how many of you are actually going to do this? I said this to my client. She's at this point right now where she's like blowing up the balloon of her nervous system. And she's like, I'm going to start contracting. And I said, you just need to sit. You just need to sit with it. Sit with it in your heart. Like, where is it coming up? Your heart space, your stomach, your head, your throat, your third eye. Like, where is it coming up? And get so curious on what's happening. What's the fear there? What's the doubt there? Invite it in. Most people, they will never, ever get to where they want to be because they don't do this first step. They don't invite it in. You need to invite it in. I can't emphasize that enough. And this is coming from someone where I never used to invite it in. I'd feel an icky feeling or I'd see a self-sabotaging pattern. And I'd be like, oh, no, thank you. No, thank you. Let's scroll on my phone or let's go eat some food. Doesn't necessarily have to be junk food, but it was a way of distraction. Let's literally go do anything but the thing I need to do. Lean in, get curious. Why is it coming up? And like I said, if you haven't read the post on Instagram that I posted this morning, the carousel, swipe across, go read it. The second shift that you need to be able to make is understanding what does this look like? The brink of expansion, what is that? And you need to watch day 2 of this challenge because I give you the framework. I give you the exact framework. They work, this type of analogy, the balloon analogy and the identity framework, it's called the upside down Y identity framework. They go hand in hand. So you need to understand what's that brink, what's the push and pull, why do I have momentum, why do I don't, what scares me, why do I have this fear of being seen, of being judged, where does this come from? One of my clients unlocked a memory, she's 24, unlocked a memory from when she was 7, and it's part of the reason why she keeps sabotaging being seen in her business. 7 years old. This is a bigger part of the process I do with my clients. That process in particular is called the emotional matrix. 7 years old. She said it on the call and I could see the shock in her face of what? Be able to get curious and understand the brink of the expansion. What does that look like? What does that feel like? Write it down, journal on it, get it out of your head, get it out of your body. And do the things that allow the movement. There's a couple of months ago, what are we now? August. Yeah, June, I spent the whole time in Perth. I'm currently in Brisbane, Australia. I spent the whole time in Perth where I was dog sitting. I was dog sitting 2 dogs. So I was averaging 4 walks a day because they're both very different age ranges. One is puppy energy. The other is an old lady, right? It's just too much to take them both on these walks together. So I was noticing in Perth, I should give you some background. Prior, I was like, I need to get better during my work week, Monday to Friday, at hitting my 10K steps, at least 8K steps. I need to get better at it. It makes me feel better. I feel good when I move my body. And I just wasn't doing it. I'd have days where, of course, I'd hit it. Weekends would be easy. I'd be out and about. But I was just like, I can't, it's too hard. I can't, like, I've got this, I go to the gym and then I show up for my clients. I show up, I'm giving you guys free content. I've got so much. Then I went to Perth and I had to do 4 walks a day. These dogs, they need walks. They know the moment the sun comes up and I open my eyes, I know it's walk time. The moment the sun's going down, they know it's walk time. And on average, an average day of steps for the whole month of June for me was 12 to 13,000 steps. Average. Sometimes I'd hit like 16. Average. Do you know what that told me? The brink of the expansion was I was feeling not good about my body. Yeah, I was going to the gym, but I felt I wasn't like moving as much, and it would make me feel lethargic. It would make me not be fully present in the afternoon when I'm doing my stuff. It would make me just work till late. All of this. And then I figured, oh wait, you are doing it. You literally had to make time because you had dogs that you had to walk. And so I've come back from that. Well, from that, I also went to a trip to Africa. I did an African safari, which is for another live to speak about the lessons from that. And let me know if you want to hear about that. But I've come back and now every single day, I average 10,000 steps. And it can be as small as that because the flow-on effect is I learned to expand. I knew that I had the capabilities inside of me. And so sometimes it does require you to lean straight in and get curious. What are the excuses coming up? I was saying to myself, I can't. Too busy during the week. Or it's like, I would quite literally say it's too overwhelming. I can't like stop my work in the middle at like 3 p.m. and go finish steps. Why? I'm my own boss. So see how the brain comes up with some crazy shit? And now the effect is I get up, it's a better morning routine. I feel more creative. When the sun's out, the sun's been out here in Brisbane the past 5 days. It's been great. But even when the sun's out, I don't make excuses. I put on my puffer jacket. I go walk in the sprinkle of rain. And I feel better. I move better. It's something I look forward to. It gives me time to listen to my audiobooks. It gives me time to clear my head and literally not listen to anything. It also gives me a great time to walk and talk to my clients in our boxer containers rather than sat at the same desk the whole time, stagnant energy. When you have stagnant energy, and this is part of expansion, I'm going to go a little bit more into this tomorrow, so I won't touch too much on this. But when you have stagnant energy, nothing's moving. Nothing's moving. It will feel so hard. It will feel like a grind. And so now that's been my norm. And when I find myself coming up with excuses, I know I can visualize I'm shrinking. My nervous system, the balloon is shrinking. And I'm like, why am I going back there? Let's make this so normal I don't even have to think about it. Someone said to me the other day, how do you show up every single day on your stories? How do you show up every single day? I've made it so normal in my nervous system to show up every single day that I don't even think about it. I think about what I'm going to post, what I'm going to sell, what value I'm going to give, of course. But I don't think about the act, where there are people out there in their business. I coach multi-6-figure-a-year businesses, and they're one of my clients. She was at a point, I think she was 7 years in business, still at the point of being so afraid to show up on her stories. And when she asked me, the answer is what I'm telling you. I trained my nervous system to normalize that. So in my current state of nervous system, the balloon, it's in there. Remember how I said at the start, and if you're just joining, most people say get out, and then we can't sustain this because it's like this new environment. No, just expand your current comfort zone, your current nervous system, make it all normal. So it's normal for me. And so look at that. Look at the things that you thought you could never do consistently, but now is a part of you. Now it's normal to you. I met some people a while back, they don't go to the gym whatsoever. They don't do classes, like nothing, right? Nothing. And I met these people, and it was crazy for me. And my background is in the fitness industry. I worked in the fitness industry for 7 years before this business. But it was crazy to me to have this conversation with people and tell me I never, ever had been I've never been to a gym. I don't work out. I don't go to a class. And this isn't about the shaming, but this is what I'm sharing with you is a comparison of the nervous systems. It's so normal for me to show up and do that. Hello to everyone joining here and on YouTube. And so when it comes to expanding your nervous system for the income, for the money, for the high cash months, for the relationships, you want, not just romantic, platonic, the type of quality you want in your family, this is what you need to start to look at, is what am I normalizing and doing it over and over again, and feeds into the rest of my methodology of the beliefs and your identity, but how are you normalizing it? And so see, that fitness example is like that. It's so normal for me to want to work out and have that. Like, it's just part of my everyday routine now. So go and make a list. What are the things that are so normal to you that maybe once wasn't? What are the things that are so normal to you that you never considered before? And then look at the things that you would need to have to do or step into or embody, expand yourself to normalize the next state. The doubt, this is what my post is about. So go read it. And again, if you want the Ready to Regulate workshop, which is insanely valuable, you will watch it over and over again. In fact, my clients do. Anyone who purchases it does. It's normally $497, but because you've come to this training, it is $88. Get your hands on it. But to expand, that's all I want you to think, is like, expand. What are those traits and behaviors that are expansive, that seem scary? And we look at it through a 10x lens. This is what I've been doing with my clients lately, is what's the first level? If you're, okay, we'll use a fitness one. You go to the gym 2 times a week. A 2x level to increase that would be 4 times a week. A 10x level would be 3 times a week with a class, and I'm going to do 8K steps every day. See how that expands you? Like, you want to be your healthiest self, you want to lose weight, you want to, whatever it is. Okay, that was just an example. In your business, if you're posting every single day a reel, what's the, instead of 2x of, okay, I'm going to post every day a reel, I'm going to post my story, and I'm going to do that. The 10x would instead be, I'm going to post every day, really good quality content. I'm going to show up on my stories 3 times a week. I'm going to go live, and I'm going to repurpose all of my current content on Instagram onto TikTok. See how that could, maybe some of you are hearing that right now and it's like, oh my God, that sounds like a lot. It's not about adding more. It's about expansive movements that light you up, that tap into who you want to be, that tap into your innate personal power, that tap into your true desires. That's what this is about. I'm going to save the rest for tomorrow. It's the last day of the path to the next edge. If you want to know all of the bundles, not just the Ready to Regulate one, definitely come and join my broadcast channel. You can slide into my DMs and ask me, or you can go to my profile. You'll see it there, the Woman Mastery Movement. Click in there, join that. You'll get drops like this all of the time. I hope that this has given you something to think about and to step into and to consider for the amount of income and relationships and health that you want. I hope that you have enjoyed this. Bye, YouTube, and bye, Instagram.